Progress in this area, as in every other aspect of church life, in embedding racial justice requires intentionality, urgency, and a willingness to seek and to grant resource. And too often, when these issues are raised, the response is, yes, but give us time, or this is not quite the way things are done here. Yes, but we have other priorities. This approach is not tenable at a time of existential threat to the Church of England. The Church needs to create the space not simply for more conversations, but building on what you know, what all the research and numerous reports have demonstrated is the right thing to do.
Our lack of knowledge about our competing histories and our inability to recognize one another as made in the image of God and therefore part of the one human race means that we fail to see the unifying bonds that can hold us together. And all we're left with are the cries of those who are still trying to separate us one from another, often for political gains. For this is a gospel imperative. It is not something we sneak into if we feel like it. You are in the wrong place if you think this is just a tick box exercise, if you think this is political correctness. The words of the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, when we treat someone as less than we are, it's not just wrong, it is not just evil, it's actually blasphemous. It is spitting in the face of God.
As a member of our church, of this synod, and a member of the business committee, I have experienced discrimination, prejudice. I have been othered. I have experienced having concerns I have raised from a racial perspective dismissed by some and belittled by others, from members within our church at every level, local, all the way up to here in Synod. Few in this chamber know what it feels like to have to be the bigger person and show grace when asked, and I paraphrase, "You are very well spoken." Few in this chamber were receiving prayers and check-in messages from those around the world who watched in horror of what unfolded in our nation last summer. Few in this chamber feared for the safety of their black and brown friends and family when the riots fueled by hate broke out. Few in this chamber were incredibly disappointed by the response from our church to speak into the last summer and offer pastoral support. I sadly can say I do know what it feels like to feel all of those things and so much more.
Queen Anne's Bounty was an investment fund to pay poor clergy in poor parishes in England 250 years ago. The church's investment in that genocidal trade was evil abroad for good at home. Well, friends, I am a poor rector serving in a thriving but cash-poor parish. I, for one, do not want money from Queen Anne's Bounty supporting our thriving parish without the work of reparatory justice.
I want to pay tribute to the work of the church commissioners and especially Project Spire and stand alongside my dear brother Andrew in all that he has said. As part of Project Spire, I went with the fabulous Georgia Boone to Ghana in November, and I visited. I mean, those are unimaginably appalling castles where enslaved people were kept before being transported across the ocean. In the first one we visited, a young Ghanaian guy was showing us around. And he began his tour by sharing with us a Ghanaian proverb, which is this: until the lion has told his story, the hunter will always be a hero.
Someone was talking to me at church at the end of our very first Racial Justice Sunday service, and they said that they, as a white person, felt nervous when speaking to a person of colour, and that they would draw back, not knowing what to say, and that they didn't want to be like that. They had seen the possibility of it being different, and they wanted to change. We talk about the need to embed racial justice in the life of the church, and this is crucial. As a white ally, I often speak from a place of ignorance. But my global majority heritage siblings help me, and it's only by being in relationship with them and at times saying stupid things that I can learn.
It's important we continue to act on the call of lament to action, to face the reality of what has divided us, the sins of colonialism and racism. This is not about me being woke, politically correct, of beating myself up over white liberal concerns. It's about me responding to the deep, real pain, continuing pain of my black, my Asian, my Chinese, my Roma brothers and sisters.
Since the launch of From Lament to Action, we have seen more progress in racial justice over the last 40 years than in the previous. Dioceses across the country have demonstrated a commitment to change, embracing communities and allowing them to flourish. However, the journey is not yet complete. As the Commission's findings indicate, racial inequalities and marginalization remain deeply embedded in our churches, structures, and attitudes. As I reflect on those reports, I am reminded of the enduring scars inflicted by centuries of subjugation, which did not end with abolition, but continued in various forms of systemic injustice.
In almost 20 years of my involvement, the culture of pushback and minimizing the impact of racism or denial that it exists was par for the course for many. There has been an urgent need for change in the culture of inaction to the church, to a church that lives up to its mandate, being a body where all the gifts of all its people are recognized and enabled to flourish. A culture that excludes no one and where all are present and participating.
Worship is a core part of our identity. It forms us in faith through our encounters with God, through the words that we say, we hear, and we sing. Our worship is transformational as we are changed more into the likeness of Christ and are sent out into the world so that what we encounter in worship shapes the way that we then live. Our worship, therefore, should reflect the treasures and rich diversity of the church and the world in which we serve. It's been an honour for the Liturgical Commission to partner with the Racial Justice Unit to create liturgical materials.
And I wanted to bring one or two of those from the work of the National Society over these years, as we have worked closely to deliver From Lament to Action and the recommendations that particularly pertained to the education space. Some examples of the long-term racial justice programmes that have been put in place. To be launched in autumn 2025, people are undertaking the training now, a new RE curriculum resource, Christianity as a Global World Faith, diocesan teams fully engaged in that development. And then our Leaders Like Us programme. This is something to give thanks for. A leadership development programme for aspiring GMH UKME head teachers.
We say that faith without works is dead. We need to see action. And of course, we want to see more action in terms of the appointment of UKME brothers and sisters into senior roles. We shall be watching this and obviously wanting to encourage this very much. We are stronger as a church. We are stronger in our mission when we reflect the diversity of our society and our church.